How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about NIO stock, and happy Wednesday. Now I want to keep you guys bullish for the long term for this company, especially if you're holding. Definitely keep hodling because NIO was in the green today during the normal trading hours, but it fell 3% the after hours. XBank again was up 7% during the normal trading hours, which was big. But then we saw a drop as well of almost $2 in the after hours. Lee didn't even move much; it's still in the red. Both it was in the red today in the trading hours and also in the after hours. So no surprise there. People thought it was gonna go to 30. It went down to as low as 32, but there was so much volatility with these three companies that it was hard to really predict a bottom today. It wasn't gonna go too far down. As people were also surprised that it went up. A lot of people were not expecting it to go up, but now again that's being offset by the losses that these companies are having in the after hours. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. Now, if you're new to investing or you haven't started investing with the Webull platform, definitely start today because there's a limited time offer where you get 4 free stocks for signing up. The link is in the description of my video. Check it out. Click on it, and it takes less than 10 minutes, and you can get up to 4 free stocks, which are valued between $15 to $20. What you can do is you can sell those shares and buy NIO or XBank or some other company like MoneyGram instead, which are great stocks. I feel like now I want to mention the fact that NIO is it's doing a good job to comply with regulators. But before I get over there, is most reports and analysts are predicting that NIO will have around 240,000 sales by 2025, which is it's a big number for what used to be called a electric startup company. That's what they used to call NIO earlier this year, before they secured funding, before they started expanding like crazy. But they actually call let me go down here where they address the CEO of NIO. So here you can see that let me find it. Hold up, right here, yeah. So they call the NIO founder William Li Bin, or also known as the godfather of travel in China, and he has a wealth of entrepreneurial experience as the founder of BitAuto and has extensive experience in automotive, e-commerce, and internet marketing. So, and he is also familiar with the capital operation and led NIO to a successful IPO in the United States, making NIO known as one of the earliest mass-produced models on the ground among new domestic car makers. So NIO now has executives from more than 20 countries and regions, including BMW, Volkswagen, Ford, Tesla, and among others. Its executives cover a wide range of fields and have extensive experience in automotive manufacturing, design, procurement, logistics, and sales. So, I don't want to, you guys can pause and read the rest of this, but essentially it's saying they're well qualified. The executives, the people that are running NIO as a company, they're well qualified, and they will do what it takes to make sure that NIO succeeds in the future and that it stays competitive against other companies and manufacturers like Tesla, BMW, and VW or Volkswagen. So when looking at this trading view post, you can see the NIO weekly 7MA is a crucial support. So laying out how there's a lot of insane support here at $41 to $42, and that's the daily support level, which was once before under 40 or around the 38 to 40 mark. That's where there was the daily support level previously before we got to these prices where we had a major dip. So the bulls are grasping for some hope today. The weekly chart may offer a glimmer of light. The 7MA has held strong support since April. If that breaks, then $38 is the next stop on the drop. Basically saying that if the 7MA is broken, then we can go and actually go down to lower lows. So that's gonna be kind of interesting. Hope that doesn't play out, but you can't really predict what's going on in this volatile, vicious market. But the U.S. Congress passes a bill that could delist Chinese stocks from the U.S. markets. And let me read this to you guys real quick, but you guys can also pause and read it yourselves. But the U.S. House of Representatives passed legislation on Wednesday that could prevent some Chinese companies from listing their shares on U.S. exchanges unless they adhere to U.S. auditing standards. So 2 key things that I want to highlight from this article. 1, U.S. Congress passes bill that could delist Chinese stocks. It doesn't say that it will delist them. It says that it could if they do not adhere to U.S. auditing standards. So pretty easy stuff right there. You guys, it shouldn't be worrying any of you, especially if you're holding these companies for the long term. If you're holding NIO, you should be less worried than if you're holding like XBank or Lee, because NIO at least has the same auditors that are auditing and checking out Tesla over there in China, they're the same people that are working with NIO. So they have no problem, complying with U.S. regulators. Now, the measure passed by a unanimous voice vote after passing the Senate by unanimous consent earlier this year, sending it to the White House where President Donald Trump was expected to sign it into law. So this is already written in the stars. This is already planned out. This is gonna happen, but you guys shouldn't be worried. NIO is not gonna have any issues with this, thankfully. Now, a post from TradingView that I found was pretty bullish. It has 5 likes. It was just posted recently, but it says NIO buy the dip. So he's actually showing you guys the buy zone, which is at 30. It was at $37 when the stock was back here and at that price range, and then also at $44. So $42 to $44 is also another buy zone. He said, all right, a lot of you probably interested in this one. NIO have been pulling back much less than its peers, and for a good reason. They practically own the infrastructure space in China for EV. Keep in mind that China doesn't have that much infrastructure when it comes to charging stations and stuff. And most of that comes from NIO, and NIO is working with XPeng, so they own that. So it's just Tesla and NIO really, but NIO is already partnered with XPeng, so they're sharing those charging stations. So keep in mind, this is like they're almost monopolizing. They're going to start monopolizing this in the future. Now, I said at the moment with their services and battery swap stations, they also have those battery swap stations, which are going to be key for them, in the future. Now, any weakness in this name, in this name, be a good reason to add shares for longer term. I've been selling weekly puts for over a month now, and on this name, trying to acquire shares without luck. But getting paid to wait is not a bad idea. This is the time to start going in. Again, I've been saying this over and over again in my channel. This is a great entry price. Like if you haven't started buying NIO, now you should probably look into it, because you're at $47. I mean, it already dropped in the after hours, but this is still a decent price to go in at it, because we did see highs of up to $57. That was the previous all-time high for the stock, almost $58. So I mean, if you're buying it right now, you're buying it at a $10 discount. I also want to mention this community post that I also found pretty interesting, but it's mentioning the 144 EMA was broken in the 2-hour chart, and this hasn't happened for a long time. So he also mentioned that this drop isn't making support and is passing all the previous support line like nothing. He's saying basically that these are indicators where most people are selling, and mentioning the sell signals, and he mapped that out pretty well, but he's more on the bearish side. He says, I'm waiting for a build back up, a sign of a breakout before I touch the stock. It's been good, but it's falling hard. The way I see it is better to miss a few bucks on the way back up than lose a ton of cash on the way down. I, for one, won't touch the stock again till I see some consolidation and the possibility of it finding support. So he's saying that we're sort of crashing through support levels, and it's dropping like a rock at that point. I mean, I don't know. For me, all I can see is money, man, that could be made from buying it at these prices. Really, I'm very bullish on NIO regardless. But I just wanted to mention those 3 TradingView posts, because I want to share people's opinions and everything what's going on in the community as it relates to NIO. Now, here's another comment that I found in NIO reactions and conversations on the Yahoo Finance, but background. So after the Enron scandal, the U.S. set up a regulatory agency to double check an auditor's work. China does not want a U.S. regulatory agency to have access to its company's books, because they fear the U.S. would spy on them, and I'm sure the feeling is mutual. So the U.S. agreed to let Chinese companies list on an American exchange without this requirement. Today, the U.S. now wants to change the agreement, but China has so far resisted. This push gained momentum after the Luckin Coffee scandal. By the way, it was a Chinese firm that exposed Luckin. His analysis, this is just a leverage play to force China to come to some form of agreement. U.S. investors, hedge funds, pension funds have already invested billions into Chinese companies, so there's a strong incentive for both countries to work something out. Personally, I think this is good for NIO. Once this cloud has been removed, more investors would feel more comfortable investing in companies like NIO. I agree 100% with that. So I want to mention the fact that NIO has a lot of institutional investors. We're talking about big names like the Vanguard Group, Bailey Gifford, BlackRock fund advisors. You have JP Morgan Securities. There's a whole bunch of other, institutions, mutual funds. There's the largest hedge fund that's actually invested into NIO, and the largest pension in the U.S. from California is also bought and has doubled their position in NIO as well. So there's a lot of institutions, large ones that are moving money and are not just investing into NIO but other companies from that country. So yes, a lot of money is at stake here. I don't think this company is going to be delisted. I don't think most of these will be affected. It will just give them some time for them to be, you know, fully compliant. And there's this post right here on Reddit. It says that, it's mentioning this whole delisting situation. It says Chinese stocks a step closer to getting removed from U.S. due to auditing rules. He said that, reasons why it might not pass. Well, it did pass, but the good news is that if it passes, it will give Chinese companies 3 years to comply. That's a long time for both countries to find some compromise. The worst case scenario is that the Chinese companies will fold your shares into the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, so you can still trade if you're on the platform that works with the HKSE, so no one is going to lose their shares. Rules like this may prevent future Luckin Coffee incidents, and the increase in public trust in Chinese stocks might actually help their companies grow in the long run. So this is actually a good thing. And now recently that we got the November 2020 delivery update, we saw that NIO has been increasing month over month and quarter over quarter in sales, deliveries, and revenue overall. So it's a good thing to look out for. These companies are emerging right now and that are doing great in this new market. Not only that, but it's smart if you have a portion of your portfolio allocated to these companies that are overseas. It would be very smart if you have something like that planned out, because you don't want to be just invest into U.S. companies. I mean, China is a growing economy that is increasing year over year as well with their GDP. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like and comment if you did. Subscribe to my channel, hit the bell for notifications so you guys stay updated on future posts, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out.